Hi, so this is my presentation on my subject specialism, e-learning assignment 2. A bit of background first before I get into anything. I did want to do just VR headsets for my resource, which didn't go the way I'd planned. So I've also added in something that I'd previously did the week before, which was teaching them AI and using that on Photoshop. So I will be covering 2 resources in this presentation. So my target audience that I was working with was my level 3 photography year 2s. Although the resource I have built on the VR headsets, anyone can access it, and it would be a good resource to use during open days for like potential students that want to come in. So that'll be good for them. Ignore that one. My teaching embedded learning. So it's essentially I'm moving away from teaching about photography and AI and going into more teaching through doing photography and manipulating AI. So this is exactly what embedded learning seeks to achieve by making learning natural, relevant and memorable. That's very behind, Adam. There we go. So with active learning, it's going to embed learning favours learning rather than doing and rather than just listening. Students are using the AI tools directly by using the generative fill in Photoshop, and the VR equipment is giving them a hands-on learning experience, and then it's going to be able to deepen their cognitive engagement. Students will be able to remember techniques because they physically applied them. The multimodal sensory engagement. This is going to be able to embed learning by using multiple senses to reinforce concepts. Their Photoshop work will activate visual and critical thinking, whilst the VR will engage spatial awareness and use their muscle memory, which is repeated retrieval, I do believe. And their dual mode 2D AI editing and the 3D VR space navigation that will reinforce their deeper understanding and flexible thinking. Contextual learning. So this will embed that emphasises learning to the real world context with the VR headsets. The VR studio that I've built, it will simulate a professional environment. So a lot of my students suffer with social anxiety. So having them in a VR studio, I was hoping it would give them more confidence in order to speak to clients, learn how to speak and engage rather than doing it in the real world. And so a lot of them do struggle with that. And then that will be able to allow them to take that into real world transition easier and then be able to connect easier in future. So my legislations that I looked into was the accessibility laws with the Equality Act. Obviously, because of using Photoshop and VR, the accessibility with speech impediments and reading and all that kind of stuff. So I've looked into that, which I do talk about further down. Age restrictions. So with my VR headset, you can't go on the VRs unless you're 10 plus. Most worlds on there are 18 plus. So when making the worlds, I had to make sure it was under 18, just so it was able to use through the college. The Department of Education has outlined some commitment to the AI education, focusing on safe and effective use in enhanced learning. So this basically means that you have to look into safeguarding kids when using AI. So a lot of colleges, including this one, don't like using AI, especially in Photoshop and VR, which is a problem I had in both of my resources. I'll talk about that in a minute, but yeah, the UK AI regulation principles also it provides a guidance for regulators on AI adoption. So they want you to use it, but then in the second hand, they don't. So it's kind of like a barrier that you have to climb over. You have to give a good reason as to why you want to use it and why it'll be beneficial in the classroom. So what accessibilities does my resources have? So with Photoshop, we have a screen reader compatibility, a keyboard navigation, a colour contrast customization, live text alternatives, zoom magnification, voice control, touchscreen support, and a plugin compatibility, which I didn't know half as existed on Photoshop, obviously because I don't use it. But I do think it's very good that all these are actually available to people who need them. Meta Horizons, they have an adjust height. So say if you're in a wheelchair or you can adjust your height so you're then because if you're sitting down, your avatar looks like it's sitting down. So you can adjust your height so you're the same height as everyone else. You can adjust your audio balance, you can manage your colour correction, you can adjust your display contrast, you can have live captions. So I have a friend on Meta who uses live captions with me. She has cerebral palsy, so she has good days and bad days. So she'll use the live captions where she'll type in her text, and then that allows me to understand what she wants to speak to me about that day. Which I also think is it was a new feature that they brought out recently, which is very good. And you can turn on mono audio, you can remap your controller. So if you're not good with one hand, you can change your buttons so you can use it in your other hand. You can adjust your text size and your thumbstick calibration. So my learning outcomes for both of my lessons. So with my AI one, we had an understand the basic principles of AI technologies in photography. And they had to apply AI tools such as Adobe Firefly and Photoshop Generative Fill to create images, and then create an AI enhanced photographic work. For my virtual reality, they had to recall and apply key photography principles, including lighting techniques and compositioning tasks within the VR studio. They had to critically evaluate photographic outcomes created in the virtual studio by engaging in collaborative feedback with peers and self-assessment evaluations. And then they had to identify and apply essential health and safety protocols for working within a photographic studio. My rationale and pedagogy. So I wanted students to think about and use AI. A lot of my students, being photographers, don't like AI. And as soon as I brought this up, a lot of them kind of moaned and grumbled. So getting them to think about it. So as photographers, knowing and understanding future technologies and working towards AI is very big for us to be able to continue in our careers. So just like you're able to go onto ChatGPT or Bing or whatever you use to create images, for us, it's not like that. We like to take the pictures and then edit them. My idea for AI with my students wasn't to just say, go and create an image and sell it. I want them to use AI to their advantage to make their workflow easier and show them how they can edit an image really quickly rather than sitting there for hours and struggling. Focusing on improving social anxiety. So like I mentioned earlier, my students suffer with social anxiety when it comes to speaking to strangers, which is something we are working on with their final major project. So a lot of them, they want to use their friends as models, and I'm trying to push boundaries and say, go and find someone you don't know, bring them in. You will get higher marks for bringing in strangers, for showing that you are professional and talking to strangers, getting models in you don't know. Using the VR headsets, they're then talking to an avatar who can be their friend, but then having a different face there is completely different to speaking to someone you know. Long-term memory, using repeated retrieval. In my VR headset resource, I've got tasks in there that pushes their boundaries and gets them to bring out that long-term memory. So I have a task of lighting techniques, which they have to order. These lighting techniques, it's something that they would just automatically know to do. So they would know where to put the light, they would know how to set it up. Knowing the names of it is not something they would particularly know or possibly remember. This is what I need them to do for their projects. I need them to understand photographic language in order to get them higher grades. So this is where I'm going to be pushing them in that. And then 21st century learning. So it's involving immersive and interactive learning into real world applications. So how does my resource meet the individual needs of my students? So increasing their knowledge on new technologies, like I mentioned, we have to keep relevant as photographers. We have to make sure we are always on top and one step ahead. Speech to text and subtitles. Some of my students are they don't struggle hearing, but they're not great. So having that extra speech at the bottom will help them and help them progress with that bit. And the tutorials. So a few of my students, they won't come to me if they don't understand. They'll shy away and they not know what they're doing. Providing them with extra tutorials to watch afterwards allows them to then go back and re-watch and do it themselves when they're ready to do so.
Sorry, did you mean that some of your students have hearing impairments?
Not hearing impairment as such, but a lot of them like to wear headphones so they probably don't hear. So then having subtitles, I feel, would help boost that So they're not sitting there going, oh, what did you say? What did you say? Because a lot of them are just,
Do they wear headphones when you're talking?
they are allowed to under, if they've got it in like a plan or something on their thing, yeah. Yeah. It's something I
That's
brought.
difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. I do ask them to try and keep it to a minimum or at least turn it off while I'm speaking.
Because I've noticed that, and you've mentioned that to me, haven't you, in your
It's
area, that some of the students, it's part of
It
their.
helps them concentrate, that's
Yeah.
what they say, going to our support.
I'm surprised.
They take.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they take them, I've got to, but I get them, I just go, whoop.
Oh, so they do like the ask me to take them off with you.
I do ask them to. A lot when you go more, which we can't, because some of them are autistic, we can't say you have to take them off. It's whatever they're comfort with. Some of them say it has white noise in the background whilst I'm talking. It's just so that they keep focused, so they're not messing and doing whatever else they're doing.
Interesting.
Stand if they don't understand the topic, but then they're listening to something. Is that it's not them,
I
it's their
know.
fault, but like you're not helping yourself.
Yeah.
Like
But you can't because of the autistic. You can't point it out, and you can't. It's a tricky one.
I've got a semi-unrelated question, and sorry to take us off tangent. If they can't talk to strangers, what are they going to do as a photographer? Like,
Yeah, I get
writing
what you.
event
Yeah, it's.
portraits. Surely that all involves talking.
I was the same when I started. It's all about
Growing their confidence. So they
Yeah,
can
so
speak.
it's like same when I started here. I would never stand up and do this 2 years ago. I was petrified. It's just about what I tell them is that even when I do weddings now, I fake it till I make it. Just smile, just pretend you like it, pretend you're happy. No one's ever going to know. As long as you're producing the work, no one's going to question what you do.
You know, I think we all, you know what, that's just asking us.
We're all acting.
Yeah, we're all.
We all
It's, yeah, just fake it till you make it. And that's what I keep telling them.
getting them to bring in a stranger. How
Yeah.
does that go with safeguarding? Just bringing someone in.
So they have to reach out. So we ask them to post on social media that they're a student photographer and that they want some free photo shoots. They'll express what they're doing and then people can come forward. If they're external, they have to sign a model form and then they have to approve that they will allow their pictures to be shared on social media and in projects.
And do
stuff
you
like
vet that as well? Like that
We
it's
still do that, yeah.
oh okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So my resources that I used, I used Adobe Firefly. I used Photoshop. So fast. I used VR headsets and I used my Horizon World that I created. It's really laggy, isn't it? So Adobe Firefly. So this was, I actually did this with my observation with Adam. My plan was that they were meant to go on Adobe Firefly separately and type in some prompts. So this was more for giving them ideas on photo shoots. So if they don't know certain poses or lighting styles that they want, they could type it into here and they could get a vision of what it looks like. The prompt I've typed into this one is create a layout of a low-key photography studio setup with a female model. So that is a low-key setup with a female model. Ideally, I should have prompted to give me a black backdrop rather than a white backdrop, but it doesn't matter. It's just for the show of this. But it's just to give you an idea of what students would be using. The college have blocked this.
They did a pretty good job of doing that for you. Is that quite good what it's produced?
Oh, this, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Adobe Firefly, and what I like about this program is you can take this straight into Photoshop. So you don't have to download and save it and then upload it. You can just take it straight in. And you can also add a reference image as well.
Why did they block it?
It's AI.
Block chat GPT as well, isn't it?
That's what,
So
Block
because it was
ChatGPT.
blocked, I had to, during my observation, I hotspotted my phone to my students' phones and tablets and allowed them to access it that way. That worked okay. But because they were on the phones, I wasn't able to go around and individually look at phones and see what actually they were doing. It would have been easier to see it on the computers. But they all had a go at it, and some of them liked it, some of them didn't. In the AI Photoshop, I did this on Firefly, so I just asked for a coffee cup, and this is what came up. I then wanted to show my students how to create that from that image in less than 5 minutes worth of editing. And that is all on Photoshop AI. So all I had to do with that is I took it into Photoshop and I expanded the backdrop using a generative fill backdrop, which a lot of my students that's the main part that the students will be using is the expanding of the backdrop. Now, because that's a wood effect, trying to expand that normally, it wouldn't look right. You'd have grains, different areas, you'd have the shadows be wrong. But as you can see, the coffee cup at the bottom, it's still keeping the shadow. I also added the spoon and I added the steam and I changed the cream inside the cup. I don't know if you can see on the right hand side, sorry, we've got 4 different layers. So in Photoshop, we work on layers. So each time you add an AI picture to that, it gives you a different layer. Next to your layers, you have masking. So a masking layer, it simulates being able to just remove something and add it back. So say if I didn't want the steam, I couldn't just erase it, because if I erase it, it's completely gone from my image. Having the masking layer, I can just take my black brush and just colour that out. But then if I want it back, I can take my white brush and bring it back. It's easier than just erasing. But my students already know all that, so it's just a fact of just showing them how to add things in on layers via AI and then just showing them how to manipulate that. A lot of them did like it, some of them didn't like it, but a lot of them want to use the generative fill for the expansion of the backdrop. So my student feedback for that, we had a discussion. Some of them liked it, some of them didn't, some of them seen how it would help, and then some were still very stubborn and said they didn't like it, which is fine. Not everyone has to like it, but it is what it is. They had a go. And then my next one, which is my VR world, I created this from scratch, which I'm very proud of. So I recreated the photography department in Headset. This was the pictures I was talking about on the wall. So these are all AI images, and I just put into Firefly, please give me a loop light technique, butterfly technique, and then they had to take the boards on to the right there, and they had to place it up with each picture. A lot of them were getting confused, like, oh, which one's this? And they were contributing to each other and saying, oh, please help me, which one's this? And then they were able to mess with the cameras and the things you see lying around. They had to use the health and safety and put that into the basket. I also had a dark room where they could put the paper in the chemical and the picture would appear. My idea was to take them into the studio, have them take pictures of each other on the backdrop, then go into the virtual classroom and then discuss. The VR headsets didn't work.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
So the technician come at 9 o'clock, told me my class was till 11 o'clock. He came at 10 to 11 and told me they were ready. Thankfully, 6 of my students stayed over time, but they still weren't working. I hotspotted my headset. So a few students will manage to look on my headset. A few of them looked at me when I casted on my phone, hence why I've got no pictures. I casted to my phone so they could see. A few of them made accounts on desktop, so they did get to go in, just not by the VR experience. They did enjoy it. They want to do it again. They said next time maybe do interactable lights where they can move around and see the light changing. It is something I did say to Adam I wanted to do, but with my time frame, I couldn't bother trying to script it all, so I didn't do that, which I wish I did now knowing I want to do it. But my conclusion. So, do you want me to read all that out?
Just summarise it if you want to.
Okay, so it's basically just saying that I liked my AI and VR technologies and that I thought it would be an effective method for boosting the students' confidence, enabling them to explore innovative ways to showcase their work. In that case, it just means that I want them to be able to see that in future they are able to take their work on VR. I'm not sure if most of you know, you probably are, so don't shut up about it, but I'm creating them a VR gallery of their artwork at the end of the year. As I do have a lot of friends all over the country on VR, all over the world, sorry, I want them to be able to potentially buy their artwork. And that's something I want the students to see, that they're not just limited to a gallery in Wolverhampton. They can go out and help this just by posting their pictures in VR, and then people can see that all over the world. That's where I want to go with this. So you can there have got my resource. I've made everybody an individual account. So if you want to go on to horizon.meta.com and click log in, I will tell you your
my
email.
charger, my laptop's charged, my laptop's
I will
died.
tell you your email, and then everyone's password is Wolfcoll, WOLVCOLL.
Spot I can find.
I have.
I don't know why it's not connected. It says continue with Facebook, continue with Instagram, continue with email address.
Yeah. So yours, Stacey,
Yeah.
is Stacey S College at
Okay.
outlook.com.
Yeah.
What's mine?
I didn't make you one. Adam.
I'm sorry.
You can use mine if you want to.
No, you did
You
say
want to
that.
use mine? You can use
Go
mine.
on then.
But then it says to log on, check your emails. How do I get onto that?
No, just press password instead.
Oh, enter password.
Yeah, it's Wolf Cole. Wolf Cole Photography.
Okay. Hold.
It should be on there and then
You can put email address.
someone's Rick's
Can you put your email address in?
Yeah, so yours is Mark B College at outlook.com.
markb@college.com.
Go on, you.
Mark B College at outlook.com.
Just login failure.
Okay,
Oh, is that all one word? Photography, wall
Mark
call?
B.
Wolf Cole Photography, WOLV Photography. Don't look at that one, that's the word, that's the world name. It's WOLV. So go on to password instead.
Enter. Perfect.
What are you putting in? Already have
It's an email. Whose email?
What's the password? Just give us,
give us
an email.
Photography.
Ah, perfect.
WLV.
WOLV. COLL.
Enter password instead.
What's the email?
She's giving you that.
password.
I think it's first names, first initial surname,
Yeah.
Cole.
So it'd be your surname,
Oh, no.
first name, second name, initial,
Yeah.
college at outlook.com. What's the password, guys?
Brilliant. You guys let me know.
Wolf call.
Password is WOLV COLL Photography. Ed, yours is Ed S. I didn't know your last name, so I'll just put S.
Yeah, lower, big E,
Just all uplovers. When you want that.
Ed what, sorry?
Yeah, to
McDonald's.
What's the letter of your first name? W.
No, it's Ed S, because you didn't know your surname.
Ed S, right, that's fine. Ed S,
No, Ed S College.
Ed S College.
At outlook.com. What's the, why didn't it work again? I want to go in.
Wolf Cole Photography.
Oh, that's not the email, that's the password, is it? I'm not doing email, I'll do the
Sorry, I
email.
can jump on somebody else. You can't worry. Yeah, you have a look. I can jump on Mark.
Do you want to just next to me?
It's college.
At outlook.com and then.
Well,
it's
something-
password.
Login failure.
Look,
I can't, I don't know which hotspot yours is, Liz.
it's being real online.
Mark B college at outlook.com.
That's the one, so next.
Call photography.
No, it's got an WOLV.
And then enter password.
Yeah, so looking at
Yeah.
That one is Wolf Cole.